Sponsors for Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation are Podcast Academy Online. Learn to podcast like an adult, built for the busy entrepreneur or the hobbyist. Visit our membership community at podcastacademyonline.com. And Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout, the easiest, best way to promote and track your podcast. Your show could be online, listed in all of the major directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Get your $20 Amazon gift card for signing up. The link is in the show notes. Welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. This podcast was created for the boomer woman leaving corporate, and now you're looking to reinvent yourself, become an author, an entrepreneur, a podcaster. Well, each episode will leave you with clarity. You will come away with the yes, I can and yes, I will reinvent myself mindset. So come on, let's do this. I'm your host, Margot Levette. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Margot Levette, brand new episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Well, today, history is unfolding so much before our very eyes that we are very, very blessed, happy to bring on a communications and leadership builder. I'm talking about the one and only Monique. This lady is from the beautiful islands of Bahamas and Nigeria. She is one sharp cookie. So Monique Russell, I could say so much more about her, but as this conversation unfolds, you're going to understand why she is so important to the conversation of communication today. So Monique, welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.
Thank you, Margot. I am excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am super duper excited too, because as we said, history dictates that we turn towards communication. So will you open us up and help us understand, first of all, what is communication?
Okay, cool. So I know it seems to be a very big and broad topic because there's many facets of communication. But the easiest way for me to share this is that basically there are two main elements. It's your interpersonal and your intrapersonal. Your interpersonal, that's how we get along with other people, how we get along with, our colleagues, our leaders, our friends. And then intra, like inside, intra is how we get along with ourselves. These are our emotional intelligence pieces, our self-awareness, our thoughts, our motivation, our energy, time of day that we're most productive. All of those things focus on the inner person, the inner man. But the truth is, many people focus primarily on the external. How can I get this person to see my view? How can I get this person to change? How can I get this person to buy into my idea? How can I be more influential? Again, externally focused, but that's the wrong approach. You have to start from the inside out. When you get the inside clear and you're confidently communicating inside of yourself, then your interactions with other people outside have so much more impact and they're so much more productive.
Wow. So if you're not in tune with that inner man, your communications with the outside world are just not going to, they're not going to be what they could be. Do you find that people are not going to be as genuine and as open as that conversation, that communication should be?
Absolutely, because when we say genuine, not as genuine in terms of being connected to who they truly are. So yes, we could be genuine, but I mean, in terms of doing that external, I call it an external dance, or, doing the tactical pieces, we know we have to get along. We know we have to work together because we have projects, we have goals, we have things that need to actually get done. But now when you run into some of the results and the studies that we hear about people, 80% of people not being happy or engaged at their workplace. We're getting stuff done, we're talking, we're communicating with people, but now because we're doing it from a conditioned form or a prescribed form of how we need to interact with people, and it's not in alignment with who we are within ourselves, then there is that disconnect. That's that tension within ourselves where we're feeling unfulfilled, or it's mismatched, or we might fall into the trap of this executive presence. You have to have this executive presence, and you do all the things that you're encouraged to do. You have all the performative communication behaviors, but something on the inside is missing, and you're not feeling like you're fulfilled. You feel like there's something missing, that you're not sure what you need to do, where you need to start. You're not doing enough. That one comes up a lot. These are all great indicators that our communication is a bit off, and it can be so much deeper, so much richer, so much more connected when we actually embrace the inside out.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That is, I mean, 26 years in corporate, I can definitely relate to that. Not feeling fulfilled, not feeling connected. You're going through the tactical things of what you're doing, and then not really feeling in the moment so that you can glean what you're supposed to glean. Monique, you are a lady that teach communications all over the globe. Is not taking care of the inner man and only taking care of that outside face. Do you find that to be the common thread as you travel and teach communications globally?
Absolutely. So it doesn't matter if we are in a different country, or there's a different language, or there are unique cultural values in terms of our protocols of how we engage with people, in status and titles and positions. They are unique to the country, but what is common among people, regardless of what the country is that there is this need for belonging. There is this need for love. There's this need for acceptance. We don't even have to be able to speak the same language, but we are able to connect on a sort of heart-to-heart level. It's this spiritual intelligence that we are moving into, where we're not really focused on things we can put our finger on, because love is something we can't really put into a checkbox and say we're checking off love, but we can discuss behaviors that are loving, and things that we can practice that are loving, or things that can bring us joy, bring us that level of fulfillment. These don't have to be things that are so far-fetched that we can't reach, but it doesn't matter. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what country it is. I see it time and time again. The need for connection, for belonging, for appreciation, for value, love, and respect is common among humans.
Mm, wow. In our interpersonal relationships also, I'm listening to everything that we should be bringing to the table as leaders. Are you finding that it's not happening because we don't have that for ourselves so many times?
So I will say this, because I've been really blessed to work with leaders who are very curious about making sure that they show up in the best way they can. At the end of the day, leaders are human beings. Sometimes we put too much of this expectation, or put them on a pedestal, which really makes it difficult, because there's a lot of external pressures that naturally come with your role as a leader. So take, for example, you want to have open communication with people on your team. Just because of the hierarchy, just because of your position, there is an automatic, invisible, unspoken rule that it's going to be more difficult for you to get open feedback, especially if you're the leader and you want to explain why something is not the way it is. You actually have to go above and beyond to get the feedback that you need and you desire and you deserve, because it's not always easy for people, because those unspoken rules are there. And then when you do have that opportunity to get the feedback, your job is just to be quiet. Just say thank you, just appreciate it, just take that data and do something else with it. Because if you do anything else that shuts it down, you'll never get it again. from someone, and it will stifle the way your decision making processes are ran for your team.
Gosh, leadership is no joke. I've often heard leaders are born, they're not made. What's your thought on that? Is that just an old cliche? Because I mean, everybody wants to be a manager. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people do. For various reasons, for the power, for the money, for the prestige, whatever. But when I hear you speak of leadership, and the head of Womel magazine, when I hear you all speak of leadership, it is no joke. So will you kind of take a moment to break it down? Are leaders born, or are they groomed? Are they made? Tell us about leadership. I know that's a
So
whole nother subject
it
altogether,
is
but I'm just kind of
so
curious.
huge, Margot. It is so huge. You know what? This is my belief. I do know that there are different personality and characteristic traits that tend to be more respected or valued or revered in terms of a leadership role. But my belief is that leaders are developed. You don't have to, it's only that we feel this way because what we've been exposed to and what we see and what's highlighted when we have news media, and this person who, brought this much money for their company or raised this much money for their venture capital, when we look at who is highlighted, they tend to fall into a similar pattern or a similar personality style. And that's what gets us to think that, oh, these are leaders. These are the type of leaders that we want to follow or model after. But if you don't subscribe to that and you choose to flip that switch on in your mind and say, well, you know what? There are different ways you can lead. Different personalities can lead effectively. It's all about development. It's all about knowing yourself, knowing your people, and making sure that you understand where the opportunities are for you to staff your weaknesses. Team leadership is about teamwork, and you can't do it all, and no one should expect you to do it all, and you shouldn't feel like you need to do it all. Your job is to shine in your lane and to find others who can shine in their lane as well, so that you have a cohesive unit. That's my belief. I feel like leaders are definitely developed. I think we just have to challenge what we see, and just imagine what it would be like if what we are honoring and we are respecting is not this race to the management style and the vertical, this race to the top. What if we now flip this thing upside down on its head, and we're now honoring and respecting those who are aligning with who they truly are, who are bringing their passions, who bringing their skill set. It's not like, oh, okay, you have this big corner office, you have this big title, you have all of the status. It's more of, wow, look at how fulfilled you are. Look at how you're using your multiple talents. Let's go ahead and give you the Employee of the Year award. So what is rewarded and celebrated is what people tend to gravitate towards. So just flipping that upside down on its head, or really dismantling this hierarchical status, I feel will give us much more opportunity to bring fulfillment at work and really transform what leadership and innovative leadership is really about.
Wow. Turning it over, dismantling it, and really rebuilding it in everyone's hearts and minds, and in the companies. Monique, do you find that that's really happening? Is that a part of what's going on in the tapestry of communication these days? Is that what we're looking at these days?
It is happening. Some organizations are happening. This is happening right now, and it all depends on the person who's making the decision, who has the power to make the decision and influence the decision. And I'm finding that there are more people who are in leadership roles who are open, who are curious, who want to bring and be the best for their team. Obviously, it's not as fast as we would like to see it. There's definitely a lot of the what I would call constricted view or tunnel vision and fear of opening the perspective. But now, as we're moving and we're head on into 21st century, it's all about innovation. How can you bring innovation to your company? How can you bring innovation to your team culture? How can you bring innovation to your customers? How can you use innovation to solve these very strategic and complex problems? So the drive to be innovative now will force or inspire or encourage people to say, maybe we could try it a different way. But as for right now, I do see and hear, and I'm connected with leaders who are open to talking about this new way of leadership and implementing these approaches in their organizations.
Wow. That's good to hear. That is really, really good to hear. The old way is going out with the industrial age. That new innovative thinking has to take place. It's taking place in corporate America, and it seems to be taking place in our everyday lives, which is a sign of movement, which is good. With all of this information that you've given us, what telling us about leadership, describing leaders and how they think and how they really want to be open and innovative, that type of thing. When we look at what's going on, these many layers that are coming up, erupting in society, how do leaders best approach their team, their contractors these days? I'm looking for some how-to information, something that somebody wants to know. They don't know how to ask for this kind of help. So can you just throw out a couple nuggets of how do I communicate these days and be all right?
Okay, so you need to have structured conversations. You need to have regular, so the frequency of your conversations need to increase right now with things just being rapid and changing so quickly. So you have to create an opportunity outside of conversations where we're talking about projects and work and task and deliverables. We need to have conversations designed and set up specifically to uncover what the needs are of your people, to listen to them, and to provide meaningful responses and dialogue in the moment. That needs to just be an ongoing, no matter what. As far as the whole behavior towards contractors, you have to use very clear language, very, very clear language about your position as it relates to contractors. If you feel like contractors are just resources, and I've never been a fan of just labeling people in these very non-human terms, you have to be very clear about how you see contractors filling the gap or helping you to bridge any gap into the future for your company. And that's something that's very easy to do. You can just sit down and really start to have clear language, engaging folks, bringing them into the conversation, hearing their needs, being very clear about how you send people off. A lot of people are going through furloughs and layoffs and things like that. You have people who have been in their organizations for 20 or 25 plus years. Just thank you and goodbye is not enough. People who are watching, who are remaining in the organization, they are paying attention to how you let your people go. So a very clear tactical approach is really looking at your send-off. You know, when you think about your child who's graduating from college or your child who's going off to summer camp, you know, you don't just say, all right, see you later. Or you don't say, okay, now you're done and we're going to celebrate your graduation in 2 years because now it's not a good time. We just got so much stuff going on. You know, you are going to take time to actually make a celebration or appreciation out of the people that have been a part of your work family. And that helps you to bring the humanness aspect into how you let somebody go. So those right off the top, I mean, I would say, those are things you can implement tomorrow. Your language, your frequency of the meetings, making sure that your meetings are available and structured just for real-time feedback and conversation. These are things that you can do right away. Also, in terms of the climate of our country, you need to have a voice. So you need to be able to have a position, because we cannot just separate things. Like we don't separate home and life. We can't separate what's going on in our world from what's going on at work. It influences both and everything is interconnected. So you have to make sure that your voice is present, it's clear, it's heard, and you match what you're saying with your actions.
Yes. Oh, that is. I wanted to ask you about that. I really, really did. That these things you can implement right here. She just gave you how to instruction and information. When you spoke of what's going on in the world and you have to address that, where you stand, is it all right for me to also add, be sure that you are really, really aligning with what the company is saying so that what you say and what you promise and what you're able to walk out matches what the company is all about, and people can expect that behavior, they can expect that attitude from you. Am I hearing you correctly on that?
You are absolutely correct. Everything right now, brand reputation has increased the influence and power of your brand reputation. Your company reputation has never been as important as it is now. And yeah, you have to make sure that your actions match up with your words. If you are in a space where your actions didn't match up with your words, you need to acknowledge that and then actually take steps to do things differently. Commit to doing things differently, because the truth is talent retention has always been a problem. The fulfillment for your employees is not getting any better. But companies that already have this type of healthy engagement and work culture, they're going to be able to recruit and attract your top players to their organization. And then where does that leave you? That leaves you with an organization where most people are just there for a job just to get by. And how can innovation and creativity flourish in those conditions? So what you want to do is you want to really make sure that your actions match up with your words. And if they don't or they haven't, it's okay to say, I was wrong. We were totally off base. We didn't take it seriously. Now we're committed to doing it differently, and then do something about it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Admit. And for so many companies, for so many people, they're just kind of really feeling their way around racism, around police brutality, inequality on so many levels. And it's not just, they're being bombarded with so many different days of reckoning. And I think that you're correct. Acknowledge we didn't get this right. We didn't address this as often as we should. We did not turn this over on its head in our culture. And do you think that now that we are here where so many voices are being heard and demanding that you hear us now, and I want this change right now, and guess what, we're not letting up, do you find that organizations have to really methodically uh, navigate their way through legality, through communication, and chart their path strategically so that they don't have to backtrack, they don't have to constantly apologize, we didn't get this right, but map this out so that the concerns of your people are addressed. Let everybody know we can't do all of this at one time, but this is what we're doing. And I think it gets back to what you said, this constant communication. I mean, I'm in California and I have to give it to our governor and our mayor. They are on every day talking about COVID and what's going on, and PPP. And that's what, hey, they won my respect. I was looking at them kind of side-eyed, but they won my respect. So am I hearing you correct? That's the way that you're going to come through this as a company. I don't care if if you're a solopreneur and you have a team of 2 or 3. That the way the big boys have to play it, that's the way you have to play it and address your people also. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I agree with you, Margot, because you definitely have to plan strategically. There are definitely legalities and other technicalities that are required for you to take into consideration. But at the same time, I feel like it's okay if you have to apologize more than once, because the atrocities have happened more than once. Repetition is something that we need to hear Even from a marketing standpoint, from a communication standpoint, we need to hear things multiple times in multiple ways in order for it to stick, in order for us to really take root of it. So while you are planning strategically, you have to acknowledge that, guess what? The well-crafted PR response, it's mapped out nice. It has all the words and all the key points, and we put it out, and really it's almost just a template process. That's not enough. That's not going to work. We cannot expect anyone to have all the answers. And I think that is the approach, or that's the way we have to approach the dialogue. If we want to have meaningful change, and we know that things take time to transform. Change is extremely difficult. Now you want to talk about change where someone may feel like they are the offending party, or they're feeling guilty. These are low frequency emotions, guilty or blame, where blame is extremely high, or there's a lot of dismissive behavior or neglective behavior. You have to notice, acknowledge, and recognize that, first of all, you're going to get it wrong. You're going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong. We're all going to get it wrong. But if I don't know and you don't know, we can learn together. That's the approach that we have to take moving forward. And organizations have to be vocal. They have to be very clear in acknowledging that, you know what? I don't know it all. You don't know it all. Let's figure it out together, and then create the space for meaningful dialogue to occur. Not just talk, and there's no action. Follow up what comes out of that with something that we can see, that we can feel, that is tangible, so that people around you know that they're being heard, or they are being acknowledged or recognized.
Wow, that's powerful. You know what? I had another question, but I think I want to end it right there, because this is what people need. This is what organizations need. How is it that you know so much? You are a wellspring of information. How is it that you even got into communications? What drew you into this big old field? And you are quite the expert. Let me tell you, lady, you are quite the expert. That's my final question. How did you even begin to get into this big conversation?
So I will skip the earlier stages of my childhood and say that it's aligning with my gift. So the field of communication aligns with my gift, that I'm able to connect in this way. I studied communication. So I studied broadcast journalism, I studied marketing, I studied PR and advertising. And those were the paths that I chose, that I was interested in pursuing when I went off to school. And from there, although I didn't have the titles that I thought I needed to have, and I was chasing in the beginning, the experience of communications and helping people see things differently, communicate differently, sort of happened organically from a professional standpoint. From a personal standpoint, in my own life, as a mom, as a wife, as a professional, as a volunteer, as an instructor. I've been an instructor of communications for over 7 years at various universities, in person, online, and things of that sort. So my personal experiences have actually helped me to be able to have much more depth in this area. So it's my gifting, my interests, my personal experiences, and I'm just naturally curious. The journalist side of me has that curiosity where I just want to know, and I want to figure out everything, and I want to challenge what I'm being told and really see the backstory.
Wow. I tell you, helping people see things differently. You definitely did that today. Thank you, Monique Russell. I so appreciate you. How can people get in contact with you? What's our call to action? Where do we send people now?
So connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place where I hang out most each week. My social media of choice, just go ahead and send me a connection request. I'm at Monique Russell, Clear Communication Coach. In fact, that's what I am on the internet, Monique Russell, Clear Communication Coach. But you could also connect with me through my website, which is solutions.com.
Okay. I'll make sure that that information is in the show notes. And wow, this time went by so fast. I so appreciate you. Keep,
Right back at you, Margot.
oh, keep shaping us, training us, because it's people like you that are going to help us see things differently. And that's where we are in history. That's what we need. So as always, I have a hard time signing off from these dynamic conversations. I really, really do. I tell people listen more than one time because Monique gave how-to information. And that's what her business, her voice, her conversation is all about, giving how-to information, instruction. And she also gave much inspiration. The tapestry for today is not completely bleak. There are leaders out there that are innovative and they are curious and they are helping build some dynamic companies. So it's not all bleak because we have people like Monique Russell to train and shape and help us all along the line. So I'll be back next week with a brand new episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. In the meantime, I have to say bye-bye now.
Thank you, Margot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Couple of things that I want you to do right now. Go to my website, pick up a copy of Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker in 1 year. Number 2, please freely listen to each and every episode. Share them out with your family, friends, the men in your lives. And then number 3, get in contact with me, one of the experts that have been on the show, because I want to make sure that you reinvent yourself. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.